Hey, it's Sri here, and in today's video I'm going to talk you through a few reasons why he is wanting to leave your marriage right now. Now, I know if you're in this situation, it's such a crushing pain. As I've said many times, when you've been married for a long time, that becomes your life. It almost becomes your identity on some level. And so for him to just sit there and say, look, I want to leave, or I want a separation, I mean, that's just going to crush you to your core. So I understand what you're going through right now, but I also want you to know that there is hope, that transformation is real, that shifts can happen. But in order to do that, we have to understand why. And so that's what I'm going to talk you through this particular video, and then also explain a few ways in which you can try and address these particular areas as well. And just like my clients Sarah and Michelle and Rachel and Laurie and Angie and all these incredible women who have created such amazing shifts, I want you to have the same experience. So make sure you watch this entire video, and it'll give you some really, really important nuggets that you can use to be able to move forward. And make sure you hit that subscribe button below and click on that bell notification as well, so every week you get access to my latest videos, where I'll talk you through a little bit more about how to save your marriage, how to recover from infidelity, and really learn lots about male psychology as well, so you're able to move forward and be able to communicate with your husband in the best possible way, in ways that he's actually going to respond to. Now, as I said, I know you're going through a really, really tough time, and often I find in these situations, whilst we know at a deeper level that we've got to create shifts internally and do a lot of work on our mindset, that is not often the place that people are at. The place that people are at a place of desperation. They're at a place of fear, of feeling inadequate, of really worrying about what the future holds. And so in those moments, I know naturally we don't want to think about personal growth and wanting to improve our situation. And whilst it's important to address that stuff, I also know that there is absolutely a time and a place. We've got to try and get some clarity of mind. Why is it that he wants to leave? How has it got to this place? So in this video, I'm going to talk you through a few reasons why he wants to leave. So make sure you pay particular attention to all of these three, so that you're able to move forward and really maximize your chances of not only be able to save your marriage, but also be able to heal from within as well. And the first reason that he wants to leave is because his emotional needs are not being met. See, one of the really interesting things when we talk about emotions is that they are unique to each individual. So whilst you may have an individual who wants love and another person wants love, the way in which they get that love is very different. So you see, he might be feeling the need to feel loved at the deepest level, and the chances are that that's what he's wanting. It may be masked and covered up with a whole range of other needs, which at the deepest level then results in him needing to feel loved, but it's still love nonetheless. And the same goes for you. The only thing is that women in general tend to express that need for love a lot more than, say, men do. But because he's wanting love and you're wanting love, the question becomes like, how is it that we're not able to meet each other's needs here? And the bottom line is that it comes down to the way in which we meet those needs. How do we go about meeting that need for love? What are the rules that we've set up in our own mind and in his mind as to how we need to get that love? So what I mean by that is, you might want love, but your way of getting love is that he needs to basically be sitting there and saying to you, look, honey, I love you so much, you're so amazing. Or it might be that he needs to engage in some physical touch or so on. Now, you might be sitting there going, well, okay, this is just the 5 love languages. And in terms of its physical manifestation of it is, yes. But it's not about the love language. It's more about the rules that we've made up in our own mind. And this is something that we've been programmed with over the years. What has to happen in order for you to feel loved? Okay, that's the question that you really want to ask yourself. And it's also the question that he probably needs to ask himself. But if he's not willing to communicate about those things, you can at least ask the question, what has to happen for him to feel loved? And you might want to take some time to look back over the years and think, okay, when I did this or when he got that from someone, it immediately made him feel special and unique, which ultimately made him feel loved. When he did this for me, then therefore that made me feel really loved and felt really special, and so on. we've all got different rules that we create in our mind. And so those rules can be very, very different. You know, if someone wants to try and achieve wonderful things and be quote unquote successful, you know, one person might want to, you know, make a whole heap of money, and when they make a whole heap of money, they feel successful. Another person might just want to help people and serve them on some level. And when they do that, that makes them feel successful. So they still want the same emotion, but the rules that have been created in their own mind and been set up in their mind are different. And this is where the problems arise in marriages, because if one person wants love one way and another person wants it in a different way, or they've got different rules, then if each person doesn't understand what those rules are, they're always going to be missing the mark. They're always going to be missing the target. And so you go 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and you see how the relationship problems have stacked and stacked and stacked to a point where one or both parties become resentful, they become frustrated, they become angry, and then it ultimately just leads to repression, where it's almost like, who cares? It's been screwed for ages, so whatever. And then people find themselves justifying the reasons why they went off and cheated and so on. So you've got to understand what are the rules that have been made up in terms of in the mind. Now, this is not just about love. This could be in any sort of emotion that you're trying to meet. Maybe you're wanting to feel respected. Maybe you're wanting to feel significant and special. Maybe you're wanting to feel really, really secure. What needs to happen in order for you to meet those particular needs? What rules have you set up in your own mind? What rules has your husband set up in his mind? Understanding this gives you a really good insight into his mindset, and when you understand his mindset, then you can start to adapt and you can communicate in ways where he's going to respond better to you and vice versa. The second reason why he wants to leave is because of a lack of trust in yourself. Now, bear with me because I know this might trigger some of you, but I want you to remember that if we don't trust ourselves, we're never going to back the decisions that we want to make. You see, if you've heard from your husband he wants to leave, what's going to happen is that's immediately going to bring up a whole range of emotions for you. It's going to stir up a lot. And it's going to put you into a fight, flight, or freeze mode. And whenever we make decisions from that place, or we act from that place in a highly emotional state, we're never going to make the right decisions. It's just, it comes across differently. It has a different energy about it. We're not able to stay grounded and centered and come from that beautiful, calm and clear place. You know, even if you think about, you know, sports people, and you know, you see those clutch moments where it's like down to the last couple of seconds and there's like a game-winning shot or a game-winning hit or whatever it is. Who are the people that do the best in those moments? The ones that freak out, worry, oh my God, what am I going to do if I lose this game? No. It's the ones that have complete clarity of mind to go, yep, I have faith. I know that I can get this done. And you know what? Worst case, if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be okay. So they're a lot more grounded and level-headed in those moments. And whenever I speak to clients, in the early stages, they are often at this place of desperation. That's not a judgment at all. I almost expect that because they're in so much pain. You know, I've been there before as well, and I know how painful it is, and we lose all clarity. And it's also the reason why I'm explaining these things, because if you can have a head start and gain an advantage here by actually balancing and finding balance in your emotions, you can immediately start to move forward. And what happens is when you start to trust in yourself, you know, yeah, actually, you know, I don't need to bring this up right now because this is not really the right time. Or yes, I need to set a boundary here, so I need to make sure I communicate on that front. It's so important to find that balance and to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, everything changes. So that's another reason why husbands leave, because if you're not trusting in yourself, then what happens is you might come across as desperate and needy and frustrated and angry and maybe say things you shouldn't have said and so on. And then he reacts to that, and then that further vindicates his decision. I'm not saying it's your fault in any way, because like I say, as human beings, we've got to give ourselves some space to be human, to allow ourselves to be human and to be patient and to be angry sometimes. Sometimes that means that if we can learn to balance that part of us out and improve and grow in the process, It means that in the long run, we look back and go, yeah, I handled that really well. I'm really proud of myself. Rather than those moments, and I, like I said, I've had plenty of them where you look back and you're like, oh, why did I say that? What was I thinking? What was I doing? All that sort of stuff. Does that make sense? It's really important to understand that. And like I say, by no means am I having a go at you if you've maybe done things that you shouldn't have or whatever. That's okay. It's about being human. It's about having love and admiration for ourselves. And when we do that, we develop trust. When we have trust, then we know we can take the actions because they're authentic to who we are and they're coming from in here, in our heart. That's where the best decisions are made, not in the head. The head is wonderful when it's connected with the heart. But when it's disconnected, which is what happens a lot of the time, then it goes off and starts coming from fear and anger and resentment and betrayal and all that sort of stuff, and all those emotions take over. But when the heart and the head are connected, that's when we get this beautiful balance and we feel centered and grounded. And that's what you want to make sure you're doing now. And the third reason why he wants to leave is because of what I call the mirror effect. Now, what I'm talking about here is that all relationships are a mirror of ourselves. And it's not just relationships with our spouse, it's relationships with people, it's relationships with money, it's relationships with even our career, around strangers. It doesn't matter. Those relationships are teachers and reflections of ourselves. Now, you might be sitting there going, but what the hell's this got to do? My husband is just not very nice to my kids. Or he just wants to leave and I just want to get him back. It's not about looking inward and going, what's this teaching me? The truth is it absolutely is. Now, the way we look at this, we've got to look at the big picture. Very rarely does a relationship just randomly shift overnight. In fact, I don't know if I've ever really seen it in my work. There's always been something or some things that have compounded over the years. Now, in relation to the mirror effect, if we're talking about, let's say I'm a shy person and you're a confident person, we might be attracted to each other initially because I have traits of yours that you need in order to balance yourself out and become whole, and you have traits of mine that I need to expand and grow and develop in order for me to become whole as well. So that's why we're attracted ultimately to our opposites. Now, because we're attracted to our opposites, what ends up happening is the other person over the years, so we're initially attracted to them, and then as we go through a relationship, the very traits that are attractive in the beginning become frustrating. You know, one person's starting to get a bit loud and always showing off their confidence and doing really well in life, and the shy person's like, ugh, it annoys them, and they won't say anything about it often because they know it's wrong, but it's uncomfortable inside. Or they do say it and it leads to problems in and of itself. And then the really confident person gets frustrated at the shy person because they're like, man, can you just say something? Or can you just let me know how you feel? Whatever it is. They're reflecting each other's what we call disowned aspects of themselves. So over time, those little things that might not seem that important every day, but they stack and they compound, and people's perceptions of each other change, and they start to shift, and then they get triggered by minor things, and other things start to just compound and stack and stack and stack to the point in which someone goes, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore, I'm done. And there might be bigger manifestations of it, which is, you know, he's not spending time with the kids, he's not wanting to make you a priority, and so on. But all of those things, those bigger events, are a culmination of a lot of the smaller things, should I say, over time. So the mirror effect is really important, and it's more of a deeper reason why marriages tend to flop over time. It's not something that's, you know, you won't have a conversation with someone and say, well, actually, you know what? Your disowned personalities are reflecting back to me parts of myself that I need to address. No, not at all. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to manifest in different ways. It's going to be little things that get triggered. We're going to look at it as if, oh, he's just annoying, or he's just such a cocky person, or whatever. But actually, what's going on at the deepest level is it's reflecting back to parts of us that we have, quote unquote, disowned. And we need to embrace and we need to develop. Why I say this? We've got to become whole as people. we need to balance out the part of us that is confident and shy as well. We need to balance out the part of us that's really hardworking with the part of us that's a little bit, quote unquote, lazier, or likes to relax a little bit. There's nothing wrong with having both. There are moments and times for those things here and there, and that's what you've got to remember. And how that then plays out is that if you can start to understand what are his kind of primary aspects of himself, and then the parts of him that he doesn't necessarily like to show, you can start to feed more of the primary parts of him. You can start to communicate with him more. If he's a confident person, you can step up and be a little bit more confident. He's going to enjoy that a little bit more, and so on. If he doesn't like conflict, well, then you can then have conversations in a calmer way, rather than potentially, being a little bit more direct and firm. Now, yes, every situation's a little bit different, and I know it's not a simple solution, just one conversation fix everything. It takes time. And that's why, I really believe in a long-term approach to healing, not just within ourselves, but also with our partners as well, and in our marriage and all of that stuff, because transformation is not an overnight thing. I always say I've been working on myself for over 20 years now, and I still have things that I need to work on. That's part of being human. That's a beautiful thing. We've got to keep growing. We've got to keep evolving as people. And the way we evolve and we grow is by actually going inward and understanding that, and also playing the long game. And so if you're struggling, if you're not really sure how to move forward, and even some of these principles, you're taking them on, but you want to go a bit deeper and you want to really create those long-term shifts, then I'd love to be of service to you. And the way I do that is through my program, the Authentic Relationship System, which is an amazing program, something that I've built from the ground up, using all of the tools and the techniques that I've learned over the years, but also things that have worked with clients as well. It's really, really powerful stuff, and really the thing that creates ultimate shifts in the long run as well. And that's, to me, is the most important thing. You see, I really believe that in this day and age, people are just going surface level. It's all about band-aid fixes. Even if you think about social media and you see the content and you see TikTok and Instagram, everything that's popular is all about short 30-second to 1-minute clips. Our attention spans are limited these days. But one thing I can assure you of is that if we take a limited approach to our growth, we will only get limited results. I want depth for you. I want real healing in the long term. It's about a slow and steady process, and not just a quick rush like taking sugar, where you go high and then poof, you come crashing down. I see far too much of that. So if you're wanting real depth, if you're wanting to go into a level of transformation that you never thought possible, but are prepared to, be patient with it as well, then I'd love to serve you through my program, the Authentic Relationship System. So if there's something that, if it feels right for you, if you connect with my material, then all you need to do is in the description section below, just click on that link which says book a call with me. Click on that link, choose a time that works for you, and then I'll contact you at that scheduled time, just so I can learn a little bit more about, where you are now, where you want to get to, and how we can bridge that gap and create some big shifts inside of you. I can't wait to speak to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you hit the like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. And do let me know what your biggest takeaway is from this video as well, or if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, write them below in the comment section, and I promise you I'll respond to every single one of you. And don't be shy. It's really important that in order to create changes and to create shifts, we've got to engage. Engagement is really, really key, because it allows transformation and the lessons that we're learning to really sink in. So make sure you comment below, and I will respond to every single one of you. And if you want to learn whether no contact is a good option for you in your marriage, click this video above. And if you want to learn how to stop emasculating your man, click this video above. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next video.